So we're ready to go, connecting two pieces together. And so basically what you want to do is prepare your thread. I'm using cotton thread, Arfil 50 weight Mako cotton, and tie a really nice knot in on the end. Okay, what I want to do is I want to insert my needle about right here in the seam allowance and then come out on one of the corners, so that way my knot is going to end up in that seam allowance rather than right smack dab on that corner, which is not very secure. So just insert and slide over that corner, pull through, and your knot will end up right there, nice and out of the way. Okay, so now we're going to stack the two pieces right sides together and just do the first couple of stitches like this. And basically we're whip stitching. So I'm going to insert my needle into the opposite edge coming towards myself. That's why I'm wearing a thimble. Oops. Oh, sorry about that. Here we go. I'm going to insert my needle into that corner and come through the corner closest to me. And then I'll take a second stitch, just whipping around that corner because I want it nice and secure. Now I'm going to kind of open this out, make sure I've got a good placement. I'm going to lose the thimble because I need more control here. And I'm going to start whip stitching. And it's really up to you what feels more comfortable, whether it's coming, bringing the needle down or bringing the needle up. Totally up to you. You want to play with both methods. I like bringing the needle down, which is why I've stabbed myself in the thumb. Clearly, I wasn't paying attention that day. And so as you go, you're just taking off little bites. And whenever I'm hand stitching anything, I'm always thinking in terms of seed beads. And you can see how I just rotated the piece. Sometimes it's nice to work from left to right or right to left too. And I'm thinking in terms of seed beads, so that's how far apart I want my stitches spaced. I want them to be as close together as that. Okay, so that is two pieces put together. You can see the opposite side. Give your thread a little tug, make it nice and secure. You could go on ahead and attach another piece here. How I did this in the face section is I took little tiny stitches up to the corner and then secured the next side across both sides of those hexagons. Right here, I think I'm just going to tuck the thread in, not going through the paper here, because this is stuff that I want to leave in these hexagons. I'm just going to tie off right here. And just do two overhand knots. Bring it down and clip it off. Okay, so that is two pieces connected together. You have to be kind of creative about how you connect all the pieces together. Like I said, sometimes you get in a situation where you're having to do a little stitching to get to the next corner, so that way you can connect and really do a nice line of stitching through three sides. And that's really convenient if you can figure out ways of doing that. There's no right or wrong way. This is very dense. It's, a lot of seam allowances all together. So don't be afraid to put extra stitching in it if you want to make things easier as far as putting it together. I didn't try my best to minimize the number of knots in this piece because I wanted long string running through lots of stuff. I didn't want a lot of itsy bitsy tiny little connections. Okay, so to turn it, the face was tricky because of course we have this mouth section here. But to turn it, I basically used the exact same method that we used for turning our foundation appliques. And so at this point, I want to show you taking out some paper. So I'm going to very, very carefully pull this freezer paper template off. And I'm being super careful because those edges do not have hexagons in them and I do not want to lose those folds. Okay, so she's free, and you can see all those papers still in there. In order to turn it, I had to remove the papers first, but all the rest of the papers I left in there for stability. So now I'm going to take a seam ripper, and working very carefully not to stab the fabric, I'm going to just go in and rip the basting stitches. And because there's two threads, we doubled our thread and tied a knot, you want to make sure you get through both of them. Okay, so that's picked out. Now pick out the stitching completely. And this is, I have to admit, probably my least favorite part of the whole process. I didn't, mind turning everything and getting it all prepped. It kind of felt like, just, it was really patient work. But ripping it out, it's kind of, it scares me because I don't want to mess anything up. But you can see it's pretty easy. And then you just have your seam allowances. And it actually looks really, really pretty from this side too. It kind of reminds me of an anemone in my husband's reef tank. Some of those corals kind of look like the back side of this. And so you just basically pick out the stitching one hexagon at a time, being careful not to rip through anything that you want to leave there in place, lining up with the hexagon that you're picking out, and then pull it out. And so now I need to just remove all the hexagons and this will be ready to go in the quilt. And I'm basically going to secure this to the quilt surface with water-soluble thread the exact same way that I secured those foundation appliques. So I hope that you have enjoyed learning how to piece these tiny itsy bitsy hexagons. We worked with 1/2-inch hexagons. You can see they are a lot bigger than the 1/4-inch hexagons. I would definitely recommend piecing with a 1/2-inch. I would not recommend going any smaller than that. I know I'm going to revise my pattern so I don't have to work so small. I don't have to make so many of these. It is a fun little project. It's certainly something fun to learn and something different and really something that I think is going to set your quilt out from the rest. It's that little extra effort that just makes all the difference in the world. And honestly, she does look absolutely gorgeous for having all these tiny little pieced hexies making up her body and her face. So if you want to learn more about specifically piecing hexies in this way, I would highly recommend checking out the Craftsy class called Pieced Hexies. It is taught by Mickey Dupree. She's an awesome teacher, and she stitches this up a whole nother notch in the sense that you are actually piecing the hexagon shape itself. You are making it kind of scrappy with multiple different fabrics to create the individual pieces that then get turned under to form the hexagon shape. So it's a little bit even more complex than this. You certainly won't be doing that with the tiny hexies. You would be using the bigger ones, obviously. But it's a wonderful class, and it's certainly what inspired me to take on hexies for this project. So definitely check that out. So my name is Leah Day, and this has been a video for the Free Motion Quilting Project. Find hundreds of videos on free motion quilting and many creative, fun quilting techniques at freemotionproject.com. Until next time, let's go quilt.